Feeling lost and alone? Looking for validation from your partner, only to find the feeling of rejection and continued frustration? You're together yet so far apart. Now your frustration has turned into disdain and resentment. Your insecurities have begun to affect every aspect of your life. Ironically, you have now become the cold and detached one, shielding yourself from the uncertainties of your relationships. Dr. April Brown has created Bringing Intimacy Back, a series of discussions that are designed to help you reclaim what you have lost along the way. Dr. April will help you rediscover and reconnect to the intimate relationship your heart so desires. Go to www.bringingintimacyback.com today and let the healing begin.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show. My name is Dr. April Brown, and I'm wanting to welcome you guys here for the second show, the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. And on this show, we aim to help you increase the intimate connections with your significant others, children, family, friends, business networks, community, and your higher power. We give you the secret power to intimacy. So in our last show, we talked about the different forms of intimacy. And at the last part, we talked about self-intimacy. And in that self-intimacy, that is being able to look inside yourself and learning how to be intimate all the way through mind, body, spirit, and soul. And so today, I have a special guest who is dealing with and helping you learn about intimacy, self-intimacy, and a healthy lifestyle. The person that I have today is Tim Shevlin, I'm sorry. He is the owner and primary exercise therapist, nutrition, and personal trainer at Matlacha Wellness Center, a native of Pine Island, which is near Matlacha here in Southwest Florida. And he has definitely deep roots here and feels a strong tie to the local community. He has so many certifications. He's a certified fitness trainer, a certified nutritionist, a certified exercise therapist. He's also interested in cognitive behavior therapy group. He's a facilitator, and I'm a great believer of that. He also does mindfulness. So he's a mindfulness a mindfulness MBSR instructor and a corrective exercise specialist. Welcome, Tim. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yes. So I'm so interested in talking with you today about this healthy lifestyle and how this relates to intimacy and that kind of stuff. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, yeah. My background, I started going to college with the focus on becoming an orthopedic surgeon. I wanted to, so I went to the University of Florida, started medical school, and I severely injured my lower back. I saw a couple neurosurgeons. They recommended, yes.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I saw a couple neurosurgeons after I injured my back. They both advised that I not exercise. I shouldn't have surgery, but I also shouldn't exercise or really do anything. I just need to take the rest of my life very easy and basic. Well, at the time I studied.
Devastating for you.
It absolutely was. My entire life for about 4 or 5 years prior to that, it was involved. My life was surrounded with exercise, running, being active, working out, all that kind of stuff. So it was very devastating. And at the time I thought, well, I knew enough about the human body that I should try to rehabilitate my back on my own. 2 years I wasn't in daily pain, but after the 2 years, I got to a point where I felt pretty good. I still have permanent nerve damage in both my legs, which may or may not ever come back depending on, medical advancements. But I lift weights very heavy every day. I, feel great. And it's brought me to where I've become, or where I am now. And basically what that did is it got me into, I decided not to pursue a career in medicine, but instead to get into more a holistic approach, a preventative approach to healthcare. And, I started that 20 years ago, and I've owned gyms and other things since. And it's just kind of all brought me in this direction and brought me here.
Wow. So, Tim, let me ask you a question and start. We're going to start off with, like you said, you were very physically active, and then you're a college student, which I'm assuming around, what, 20, 21, 22. And then you have
Yeah,
this about what, 23?
I was about 22, 23, right around there.
Okay. Then you have this devastating thing that happens to you. And I'm a believer it starts in the mind first. So one of the things I want to ask is, how did you overcome that in your mind to even, because some people, when something happens, they're not resilient. They just like give up. How did you overcome that in your mind?
Starting off from when I was growing up, I was always overweight. And I was picked on, I was told things about myself that I would never achieve. And, by peers, by friends, I was just kind of a fat, dorky kid. And I got to a point when I was in high school where I decided that no one was going to decide my fate. I was the only one who could decide that. And so if something was challenging...
I'm curious, how did you even come up with that idea? Was it something your parents taught you, or church, or friends, or school?
I think it was probably a combination of both.
Okay.
I know I watched my dad achieve great things, coming from nothing and achieving great things.
Right.
And that was a big part of it, just looking up to him and seeing that he never quit with anything.
Okay.
And, striving with that same kind of focus. I was, really just one day I decided I'm done with this. No one's going to decide. I played football in high school, but I was not very good. Okay. And then my junior year, I decided, you know what, that's it. I'm going to start really applying myself. I'm going to get where I want to be in life, and no one can tell me what I can and can't do. So over the summer before my senior year, I, worked out every day. I ate right. I started reading books on health, and, I lost 50 pounds over the summer, and I also happened to grow 2 inches that summer. Okay. And I came back and I was a different person. And from that point forward, I knew I could, anything I went from not being very good at football to making the all-star team in Lee County, and being mediocre at track and field, and being ranked number 2 in the state of Florida for throwing discus. So I did all that in 1 year's time. So I've really, ever since then, I don't know what, like I said, it was probably a combination of my dad, my grandfather, a little bit of, at the time I was, and still, I went to church every week, and my faith was very strong. And, I knew that I really firmly believed, and still do, that I was able to, I could achieve anything I truly put my mind to.
Yes. So as our audience are out there listening, and of course they may have some kind of struggle going on in their life, where life just hits them and knock them down, what tips can you get to start just in the process of the mind? Because everything else, the body, the food, and all that works from there. What tips can you give them to help start first in the mind?
I think a lot of times you have to decide that you want to make the change. Okay. I think that's kind of the biggest key, is making that decision. Once you make the decision, then it's all about kind of changing your habits, changing your lifestyle, changing your thought process on something. So if all of a sudden, it's kind of, are you familiar with Feeding the Good Wolf story?
No, tell me about Feeding the Good Wolf.
Oh, so there's this I guess it's an Indian story, but I'm not sure where it's from. But a grandfather's talking to his grandson, and he says, there's a struggle inside of it. There's two wolves fighting. One of them is good and happy and love and caring and empathy and compassion. The other one's greed and guilt and suffering and pain. And, the young child says, which one's winning? And the grandfather says, the one you feed. So from that, I use that a lot in my life. And if I focus on the positive, if with this injury that I had, if I was to focus on that I'm never going to be able to work out again, that I'm never going to be able to do the things I want to do again, I would still be at that place today. Instead, I looked at what I still have. I was still able to walk. Right. I was still able to make up my mind and decide that I wanted to make the change. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, if you focus on the good things, the positive aspects, that makes a world of difference. And that allows, once you decide that you want to do it, and then you start focusing on the positives, and the positives will take you on the path to get you to where you want to be.
Wow, yes, definitely. So you said first you have to be willing to change, accept it. And then you said, of course, it's just that determination to go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you said the word acceptance. That's one of the most important things I feel in life. You accept your situation, and then you can change it. If you don't accept it, you can't. There's nowhere to go from there.
Right. And you also highlighted the importance of being thankful, the importance of gratitude, of how that definitely works in that process. Because you do have to be thankful for the things that are coming up, the things that you have. So what your strengths are, because that can help you definitely overcome a lot of your weaknesses. Yes. Right. Yeah, so definitely. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I noticed that on your website, you've talked about, and even through your intro, mindfulness and cognitive behavior. And I would definitely want to touch back on that as we go more into being intimate with the mind, body, spirit, and soul. Okay. Well, on this little commercial break here, I want to introduce myself a little bit to you guys. My name's Dr. April, and what I do is I help people with relationships. So sometimes if you feel like you're in a relationship with someone and you feel so disconnected with them, what I do is help people become connected. Because if you guys remember, when you were born, you were partially connected in this world through the womb. And so the introduction to intimate connection started at birth. But however, in this busy world we have today, sometimes through all the social media, we've lost connection. So one easy way to start connecting with people that are close to you is just sometimes giving a smile, giving a hug. Okay? Those are just easy ways to sometimes connect with the loved ones that are in your life. All right. I just wanted to give that little tip there. And so now, Tim, I noticed that on your website that you talk about mindfulness. Can you explain how that even relates to what you're talking about, but even that next part, because we are talking about the healthy lifestyle, how it relates to physical and what you eat and all that other stuff. I want to get into the meat and bones now.
Mindfulness, I feel, was a life-changing discovery for me. It really was. And the more I've gotten into it, basically mindfulness is the practice of being in the present moment, accepting and acknowledging everything that's going on around you at that time, and being non-judgmental towards all of it. Just being. That's the key to mindfulness. Yes. And it's really, it brings you, the key to it is it brings you in the present moment. And the reason I'm the MBSR, that's mindfulness-based stress reduction, because stress typically stress and anxiety does not really live in the present moment. It lives in the past, it lives in the future, not so much in the present. So the
Can
whole
you
idea
repeat
behind
that
it,
again? Can you repeat that again, just so our audience really hears that? What the stress lives,
stress and
anxiety.
anxiety typically lives in the future or in the past. It rarely lives in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can get rid of all of that and just focus on the moment, that's all we have. That's all we're guaranteed. That's what is there. So when you accept it, enjoy it, acknowledge it, when you're truly present in the moment, that's what life's all about. And that's kind of, that's why I got into it. I got into it as a recommendation actually from a therapist that I see on a personal basis. And it was life changing. And it became so important to me. And in the beginning, being mindful for 30 seconds was difficult. My final exam for the mindfulness certification was a 6-hour meditation. And at that point, 6 hours wasn't that bad.
Okay. Awesome. Yes. 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 Yeah. And so, as people are sitting there thinking about mindfulness, because it is very hard. I mean, as a therapist, I know, and I talk about it, and many people have a hard time staying in the present moment. Yeah.
Right.
What is some tips you can give them to help them stay in the present moment?
The biggest thing, the way I start all of my mindfulness groups is bringing attention to your breathing. So if you can just sit there and breathe in and out, notice the air going into your lungs, feel the way your chest feels as it's expanding and going down. There's a lot going on. It's a lot to focus on. So that's a good way to kind of center yourself at any time. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you can always bring your attention to your breathing. But a good way to get into the practice is, and I use washing the dishes. If you can do one task every day, being totally mindful, and washing the dishes is a great one, because again, there's a lot going on. You don't really enjoy washing the dishes. You're not doing the other things at the time. So why not really center yourself? Notice when how does the plate feel on your hand? Is the water warm? Is the water cold? Does the texture of your skin change when there's soap in the water? All these different things to notice. It's just so much going on. And how many times have people washed the dishes and they couldn't answer one of those questions?
Right.
So pick one or two tasks throughout the day, do it on a daily basis, and you'll notice, even just by doing that, without adding any real practice, the rest of your day will slowly start becoming more mindful. You'll become more present.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I know you're big on nutrition. And so I'm assuming many times when we're eating, many times we're not mindful of what we're eating. We're just, yeah, tell me how does that play a role?
It's almost another reason why I got into the cognitive behavioral aspect is most of the people that I see that come in with weight problem, it's not because they just love food so much they can't stop eating. It's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's that they're eating emotionally.
Right.
And I've tried to incorporate this in to almost all of my nutrition programs, because when you can sit there and really be mindful and notice what you're eating, if you want to eat a McDonald's cheeseburger, that's okay. But make a conscious decision to do so. Know that you're doing it. Don't just go through the line, shovel it in your face, and an hour later not remember it. It's a lot of times, I'm in recovery from heroin addiction, and I can relate a lot to food addiction because it's the same thing. It's just most of the time they've chosen a more acceptable outlet, more acceptable addiction. Mine put me in jail and risked death. Theirs gets them in trouble, but it's 40 years from now when they're looking at some health problems.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to ask you, what does that do to your body when and there's many of us who are sometimes so busy and we eat so fast, we're not mindful of what's going on. What does that do to your digestive, I don't know, system?
Well, typically, right off the bat, you're not chewing your food enough. The first part of digestion is the saliva in your mouth.
Okay.
Breaking down the food by chewing and introducing enzymes that will break down the food through the saliva. So right away, you're not chewing food the way you're supposed to. Your
Okay.
body, because you're not acknowledging, what you're eating, you're just kind of doing it. It doesn't prep the body the same way. Your pancreas is not going to do everything that it should be. It shouldn't. It's you're not going to have an acidic enough stomach. There's a lot of factors that are playing roles that when you're not fully acknowledging something's going on, your body doesn't fully recognize. As you said, these things start in your mind.
Right.
And if you're kind of in denial, or let's not say in denial, but you're not even acknowledging that you're eating something, your body will respond that way. It doesn't truly, I mean, it's still to some degree is like, yeah, there's food coming in, but you're not eating. So what do? It's not being a cohesive, you're not being a cohesive unit. You're separating the parts, and we don't work that way. We're one unit.
Yeah.
So,
I never, yeah.
so I mean, just with that aspect, I mean, you're really starting to mess with the digestion, the nutrients you're extracting, and different things like that. And especially now, with there being less and less minerals, especially in the foods that we're eating, we need to extract everything we can out of the foods we eat, just because, the lands have been mined to a point, or stripped basically of minerals. So we need to get everything we can out of it.
Okay. Okay. So what would be your suggestion for those who are struggling on the nutrition aspect? What are some tips there?
Well, I do a mindful eating course, and you start
Oh,
with a raisin. So you get a raisin, and you look at the raisin. You hold it in your hand, you smell it, you roll it around your fingers, you really sense it, and then you slowly put it in your mouth, let it sit in your mouth. And the whole idea is you take about 5 minutes eating one raisin. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get to a point where you taste the sunshine that dried that raisin out. You want to experience that. Food has so much to offer, and food is very good. We really want to experience it fully. So, just in that aspect, in getting a better experience from eating, it's going to be more, almost sensual food experience if you keep trying to really focus on everything that went into creating that one item. I mean, it's amazing when you can eat something and taste the sunshine or taste the rain. I mean, it's an experience.
yeah,
So
definitely.
my recommendation is when you're eating, try to really focus on the food and get deeper. Don't just take it for face value. Try to really experience everything it has.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I can just even see how, like you said, just spending the time focusing on the food and where it came from and taking your time. And like you said, taking your time to chew will definitely help bring even more gentleness to your body in the sense of how the food goes down and stuff. Yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes, definitely. Yeah. So we're going to about take another short break. And when we come back, I would like to even expand now to the next level of the physical part of what you do. And so, Tim, I would like for you to, because we have like a 15-second commercial. I would like for you to take this commercial and tell us a little bit about what you guys offer at Matlache Wellness.
Okay. At the Matlache Wellness Center, we try to cover everything we can holistically. We do massage therapy, physical therapy, personal training, exercise therapy, We do facials and skincare. We use all in organic skincare products, product line Eminence. Um, we really try, and of course the mindfulness, we really try to cover everything we possibly can for overall health and wellness, all focused on a very natural approach. I don't push supplements. I don't like that stuff. I'm really about and down to earth as possible, and all that you can do in life. We're kind of a one-stop shop, I guess you'd say.
Fabulous. Yes, yes. And I love that idea because I think it's all, well, I don't think, I know it's all connected. Definitely. Yes. So, it's a little bit, of course, about the mind, and we talked about the eating, and we're talking about wellness. And so, in dealing with wellness, I was wondering, for the physical aspect of wellness, how does that work in your facility, and what are you guys doing helping people have more connection with their body and wellness?
Well, the physical aspect is, huge as far as overall health and wellness goes. Nutrition I feel that nutrition and physical fitness basically play about equal roles in overall health. So we try to take it from whatever level someone's at, the very basic, to advanced, and we take it step by step at their pace and really try to. The thing is, I do everything on a very individual basis. No one is cookie cutter. Everyone is so different. So, and it's hard to say just the physical is by itself, because it can't be. Everyone responds to different feedback. Everyone responds to a different growth period, and we just take that one by one, and we try to help teach people how to exercise better. We teach people how to, follow a program and how to be disciplined. Accountability plays a huge role in it. It's it's a very big. It seems simple, but there's a lot of moving parts for each individual person to really make it work. And I don't know if I really answered your question the best in that one, but as I'm thinking about it, that's where my head kind of starts going.
Okay. Okay, so like you said, it's more of an individualized approach when it comes to wellness and the physical aspect.
You have to look at what's going to work best for you, for the individual. You have to see what everyone is so different, that it's hard to pick up a magazine and say, well, Gwyneth Paltrow does this, so I can do this. Well, chances are you can't. Most people have to work. Most people have very different lifestyles than that. Magazines aren't going to do it. You've got to look at yourself. You've got to say, okay, what's realistic? What can I do that's going to be sustainable? How can I find an accountability partner? All these things, because in the beginning is the most difficult part. We're going to, and I believe that you should always, not a big fan of maintaining, but that's just because, that drive kind of gives you a little bit more life, we'll say. So anything that can add to that, is going to be helpful.
Yeah, I know even for myself, I've lost weight years ago, and then just trying to maintain, and even recently I put on weight. It is an individual process, but I guess I've heard like there's certain standards, maybe, I don't know, that I like in myself. I feel like you have to work out 3 times a week. I don't know if that's true or not. And you have to do cardio and muscles and I don't know.
I will say 3 times a week seems to be the magic number. When you do that, you do notice better results. But if 2 times a week is all that you can do, that's what you need to do. And same with cardio. I mean, cardio, ideally, if I could put someone on the ideal program, and let's just say they're 50 years old and no more than 50 pounds overweight with no serious health conditions. I would say 4 to 5 days a week weight training, 4 to 5 days a week cardio, um, 2 days off a week where they just do nothing. That would be ideal, perfect, number one. But it doesn't always work that way. So you've got to do what you can that works.
Right, right, right. And I do think, kind of like what you were saying earlier, and I'm guilty of it, is that in the workout, maybe you should also be mindful. You
Right.
go through the motions. You should actually be mindful of it. Is that
Yep.
does that make
When
it?
you are, oh, absolutely. When you're mindful during your workout, your muscles will get so much of a more effective workout. You're better able to focus on them. You can understand them. You really get to, I mean, honestly, you get to know your body at that point. You're really becoming, you understand your muscles, how they're working. And that's all because you're focusing on them through mindfulness. Mindfulness during your training makes a big, big difference. It
Okay.
really does.
Okay. What are your thoughts on what people be? Should people just work out and be mindful, or should they listen to stuff, or how does this all the mind? But how does it all kind of?
Well, that all depends. I would probably